My name's Kim Little and I currently play at Arsenal Football Club, where I've been for the past 6 years. So I was born in Aberdeen, in the northeast of Scotland, and grew up in a small village called Mintlaw, which is about 30 miles north of Aberdeen. A small kind of rural town. I got into playing football. I was really active as a kid. My family, we're pretty outdoorsy and played a lot of sports. I suppose I started to play more and more football and less of other sports, and was quite good at it, so just persisted with it and ended up being where I am now. I love the style of Zidane. I think when I was growing up there was very little female games on the television, so in terms of who I was able to see, I loved watching videos of him play because I was a midfielder as well. And then a player who used to play at Arsenal, Julie Fleeting, Stuart, her last name's Stuart now, but one of the best strikers of our generation and played for Arsenal, and I came down and played with her here for a little bit before she stopped playing, and she was definitely a role model in a way. She was the first player to sort of go abroad and play in America professionally, and then down here as well. What does football mean to me? I suppose it's a huge part of my life. I've obviously grown up playing it and have become professional, so it consumes my life in a way. But the competitiveness of it and being within a team and working with people, connecting with people to try and to be the best at what we do, and that's playing football. And for me, that motivates me every day, and is why I've done it for so long. We take it seriously, but it's also quite light-hearted in a way. It gives a lot of people a pastime, a hobby to watch. That's what football means. It's bringing people together in different ways. I think you can see a lot of things changing with the Women's Super League. It started as a summer league, it's moved back to being a winter league over the past few years. You see bigger attendances. I think last year for us, we got to play several games at the Emirates, Champions League and Super League games, and I think it's just that whole environment to play in as a professional, to keep growing the game, both on the pitch but off it in terms of attendances, and kind of pushing those boundaries so that we can, reach a higher level. There's still a lot more we can do, and there's a lot more to push for in terms of, getting people we can reach out at our games. But I think the more exposure there is on the kind of the bigger platforms like playing at the Emirates for us, then I think people, will follow and they do enjoy it, and it'll become more of a consistent thing. So the object I'm going to donate is a match shirt from when we play our North London derby against Spurs at the Emirates. And for me, it's just, as an Arsenal player through and through, I've been at the club a long time, and in North London, it's a special game, and Tottenham been in the league sort of the past 4 or 5 years. I'm not sure that that's the exact amount, but that derby and that game's become as much as a big game as it is in the men's game to the women's, and you can feel that when we played in those games. We played at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium a couple of years ago with over 30,000 people, and a special occasion for me, but the club as well. I find it hard to answer standout moments in career. Because as a footballer, you play so many games and there's so many different feelings from games that it's not necessarily the biggest game. There's a lot of different means. I think when I played in London 2012 Olympics at Wembley, I suppose it's a little bit like a similar occasion to what the girls just played in at the Euros. But there were 75,000 people there, and just a special occasion. It doesn't come around that often. A major tournament, especially being in your hometown almost, where you live. So that was kind of a standout moment. As a women's footballer, there's positive and negative experience, I think, for anyone in any industry. But I think especially for female footballers, there's been a lot of negative, to be honest, just because of where the game's at in terms of its professionalisation. So we've gone from being amateur to semi-pro to professional within the past 10 years, you would probably say. And with that comes challenges. You're becoming professional in the sense you're being paid, but what you have access to resources-wise and facilities does not always match that. So I think that's definitely been a constant. I think it's inevitable that would be the way it would be, but I wouldn't say it's a negative. I think it's just part of where we're at, but it's trying to drive that forward as much as possible so that we create the best working kind of high performance environment so that we can produce on the pitch so that the people enjoy watching us. And I think a lot of people and players that have been in the game over the past 10, 20 plus years, they've all played a part in that. England's success at the Euros this summer was incredible to watch, to see my teammates do so well as well, and perform on one of the biggest stages was it was so nice to see. And of course it's that's one moment in time, and it was a special moment, but it's important, especially for me and for all people involved. It's how do we use that moment to move forward and to keep driving our game. And when you look at other national teams who've won major tournaments, domestically, it's not maybe had the impact it should have on the league, their domestic league. So I really hope, because of the kind of foundations that we already have in place here in England, and the success of England at the Euros, that provides a real kind of place where the game, can kind of drive forward from, and it really can become like a mainstream sport that people are going to watch week in, week out.